So something very interesting happened in Senegal. Senegal is here. Here's a map. Beautiful place, lovely people. Senegal has summoned the Ukrainian ambassador. This is a very interesting news because Ukrainians were recruiting youngsters in Senegal to go fight in Ukraine. What's up, everybody? Hope you're doing good. It's a beautiful day. Thank you very much for choosing us again. If this is your first time, please subscribe. I don't know who you are. My name is Zack, but I'm sure at the end of this video, we're going to like each other, okay? Great stuff. So in Senegal, this is Senegal. Beautiful place, lovely people, great culture, good music, good food, cheap, what you call it? You always talk about jollof rice, Ghana jollof. Jollof is Senegalese. That's where it comes from. Okay, I don't care. You can argue as much as you like. They have the best jollof and it came from Senegal. They have amazing food culture, amazing wrestling culture where men learn how to become men, you know, they become real men and they get paid for it. How nice. Now, in Senegal, they were not very happy with the Ukrainians because the Ukrainian ambassador had been recruiting Senegalese youngsters to go fight in Ukraine at their war. Yes, fellas, can you imagine? Can you imagine leaving your country in Africa, go fight a war in Ukraine? Why would you do that? How much money is that? I don't know. I mean, yeah, I know everybody has their assignment. If you become a soldier for a country, it's not just because of the pay that you get from the country. When you get paid for the country and you go fight, it's more the honor. You know, I defend my country. I defend my people. Therefore, I'm going to war. And it's okay that I pass because it's the name of the country. I'm going to be written in the list of heroes. You leaving your country, going to fight a war somewhere else in the world, in Ukraine, and you die. Who's going to remind you? Who's going to remember you, excuse me? Nobody's going to remember you. You gone. For what? For how much money? So the Senegalese government has condemned the Ukrainian embassy for calling for fighters to join its effort to repel Russia's invasion, warning that recruiting mercenaries or even volunteers is a breach of its laws. So the Senegalese law clearly says you cannot recruit people to go fight for you. You do not have the right to recruit even volunteers to go fight for you because you're breaching the law. It's unacceptable. The Senegalese foreign minister condemned an illegal Facebook post by the Ukrainian embassy on Thursday that called for Senegalese volunteers to join its fight against Russia. You listening to this, fellas? This is crazy. Recruitment of volunteers and mercenary on other foreign fighters is illegal in Senegal and punishable by law. Ukrainian ambassador Yuri Podravov was summoned. Yeah, they told him not to do that anymore. Don't do that here. Go fight Russia with Russians. They asked the ministry to explain the post, where after verifying its legitimacy, it was asked to be taken down. So the Senegalese government has asked the Ukrainian to take down, the Ukrainian embassy, to take down that post from Facebook. Okay, it's insane. Now, this is very interesting because many youngsters came down the street into Senegal to the Ukrainian embassy showing their anger and exasperation. They're not happy with the Ukrainians. You are in Africa, okay? Let me just remind you here, okay? Before the war, Ukraine never really had relationship with any Africans. Very rare, very small places where you find a Ukrainian embassy. They never had relationship, but you found Russia in most countries in Africa because they built a relationship over many, many years. During colonialism, while the Europeans came to Africa, looting, stealing, taking gold, diamonds, uranium, you know, splitting the countries. Europeans split countries in Africa. There never used to be countries in Africa. When the European went to Berlin in 1885, I will always repeat that. That's when they created Nigeria as it is today. Yes, there was a land name somewhere there. It was not Nigeria, as you know. The European created Cameroon. They created Ghana. Yes, there was kingdoms in the south of Ghana, but it wasn't Ghana that you see today. They created Congo, they created Rwanda, Burundi, which used to be one kingdom. They separated people into small portions. Why did they do that? They did that because they wanted to go and steal. They said to each other, oh, there's a brand new land that we found. It's too rich. It's got gold, diamonds, uranium, you name it. We're going to be very rich. But you know what? Let's not go kill each other over there for minerals. Let's sit down in Berlin and divide this like a small pizza. So each country can take a little part. At least the countries that are imperialist, like Britain, France, Germany, Italy, and all of that. They split the countries. Anyway, back to Ukraine. The Ukrainians have been summoned in Senegal. Okay, at that time, Russia was supporting Africans when Africans were looking for their freedom. When the European came to steal, Russia never came to Africa to steal. They didn't. While Europeans were beating the living hell out of Africans in Africa, no Russian came. And even by the time the Europeans left Africa, supposedly after colonialism in the 1960s, South Africa was still under the shackle of apartheid. And Russians came to help some countries to free themselves. They gave them weapons. They gave them intelligence. They gave them many things. While America and other countries were supporting apartheid in South Africa, Russia was combating against all that stuff. Now, Russia has made many friends in Africa. When the United Nations asked to vote against Russia, many African countries did not vote against Russia during its fight against Ukraine. So it came a time Ukrainians needed to go to Africa and many other places in the world to gain support. That's when they came to Africa and opened embassies. They just opened an embassy in Ivory Coast. They have an embassy in Senegal. But then, a few weeks ago, we saw what happened in Mali when some people unalived Malian soldiers. The Malian soldiers were accompanied by Russian Wagner, and they were unalived with the Russian Wagners. Then one Ukrainian representative admitted that they provided the intelligence to this group of people to unalive Malians and Wagner. That is when Senegalese got very angry. They also went to the embassy and saying this is unacceptable. You can't be boosting, saying we provided security and intelligence to unalive people that look just like you. Look, if you, an African, went to Poland and you unalive the people, do you think Ukraine will be happy with you and just say, okay, let me put it again. You have issues with Poland. You go to Poland, you unalive people, and you have an embassy in Ukraine. And from your embassy in Ukraine, you rejoice saying we just unalive people in Poland. Do you think Ukraine will be happy? No, they won't be happy. Now, Senegal was one of the few countries that voiced themselves. They said this is unacceptable. We will not accept this. Don't come and recruit people here. And don't cheer up. Don't be happy that you just bombed and destroyed people, Malians. We will not accept that. Now, many people feel like, Africans didn't do enough. Most African countries should have been very, very against us. Just like Europeans are not happy that Russia has entered Ukraine. They came together, Europeans. They didn't play. They all came together. They said, we're going to blockade Russia. We're going to do everything in our power to make sure their life is difficult because they've intruded into Ukraine. But Africans apparently are not capable of doing that. Let me remind you here, Gaddafi from this country, Libya, beautiful place. Have you heard of this man before? You probably heard of him as a dictator, as a killer, as a bad man, right? Now let me tell you something. Every time you hear them say somebody's a dictator, you need to ask yourself many other questions.
Today, the government of Libya announced the death of Muammar Gaddafi. This marks the end of a long and painful chapter for the people of Libya, who now have the opportunity to determine their own destiny in a new and democratic Libya. For 4 decades, the Gaddafi regime ruled the Libyan people with an iron fist. Basic human rights were denied, innocent civilians were detained, beaten, and killed, and Libya's wealth was squandered.
Every time the West say something negative about somebody, you need to start understanding. Is he looking after his people? Doesn't he want to sell his minerals? Isn't he not giving them access to his country? Those are the questions you should be asking yourself. They unalive that person. But his country was one of the richest in Africa. Muammar Gaddafi paid the debt of many African nations. In Libya, people almost never paid for fuel. It was so cheap, no need to pay for fuel. In Libya, people paid no tax, so you can work and get your money 100%, no need for tax. In Libya, people travel for medical reasons, and the government paid for everything, for the flight, for the family member who's going to help you, for your treatment in Switzerland or Japan, for everything. But they said he was a dictator, they wanted to take him out. So Senegal has sent a very clear message to Ukrainians. Don't do that here. Okay, do not recruit people to go fight your fight. Not in our country, it's not allowed. Even though we've seen some black people fighting to the side of Russians and the side of Ukrainians, many people believe they've been offered money, and you always find some of those people. I firmly believe you shouldn't fight for nobody. I'm sorry. Don't go fight for the Russians. Don't go fight for the Ukrainians. It's not your war. Why would you leave your food, your life, your woman, your parents, for what? What is that for? You need money. Do some work. I think lazy people go fight like that. I'm sorry. You must be like really have no skills at all in life for you to take weapons and go fight a war that doesn't concern you. How? How did you get to that? I can understand somebody who has absolutely no skills in life. All he knows is shoot guns. Are you that person? Are you that useless? Or I can understand the soldier who worked as a soldier. He was a military in the past. Then later on, that's his job. But if you're a decent human being, you went to university, or maybe not. Like, it's not even about university. How do you go fight somebody else's war? What do you gain out of that? Now, congratulations to Senegal, do we say? Yes, because you must make yourself respected. I don't think any country will be happy that another country comes through the embassy recruiting people into doing things of that genre. I don't think people will be happy about it. Let me know how you feel about this. It's always a good pleasure. God bless.